made his face glow as he stared at something that should not exist. For 3 months, he and his team had been looking for old things. In space, they wanted to find ruins from ancient aliens. Instead, they found something much more shocking. "Captain, you need to see this," said Dr. Lisa Kane. She was the smart woman who studied old things. Her hands were shaking as she pointed at the numbers on her computer. "I have checked this 10 times. The machines keep giving me the same answer." Jake walked over to look at what she was showing him. The numbers made no sense. According to the tests, the things they found were over 50,000 years old. That was impossible. Humans had only been in space for a few hundred years. "What exactly are we looking at down there?" Jake asked. Lisa took a deep breath. "Ships, Captain. Warships. Big ones. They are buried under the ice on that dead moon below us. And they look human." Jake felt his heart beat faster. Human? That cannot be right. Humans were still living in caves 50,000 years ago. "That is what I thought too," Lisa said. "But look at these pictures." She pressed some buttons and the big screen changed. Now it showed shapes under the ice. Even through all that frozen water, Jake could see they were ships. Long, sleek ships with smooth curves. They looked like nothing humans had ever built, but somehow they also looked familiar. Chief Engineer Ryan Brooks walked up to them. He had been working on his computers for hours. His face was red from tiredness and excitement. "Captain, I have been running every test I can think of. These ships are not dead. They still have power." "Power?" Jake said. "After 50,000 years? Yes, sir. Whatever is keeping them running, it is not like anything we have. The energy readings are off the charts. And Captain, there is something else." "What?" "There are not just a few ships down there. There are hundreds of them. Maybe thousands. They are lined up like they are ready for a big battle." Commander Kate Sullivan came running onto the bridge. She was Jake's second in command and one of the best soldiers he knew. Her face was pale with shock. "Captain, I just finished looking at the scan data. These are not just any ships. They are war machines, the biggest war machines I have ever seen. Each one is the size of a small city." Jake sat down in his captain's chair. His mind was racing. Human ships that were older than human history. It made no sense. But the proof was right there on the screen. "Have you found any writing on them?" he asked Lisa. "Yes, and that is the strangest part. The writing is in old Earth languages, languages that died out thousands of years ago. But Captain, some of the words I can read. They are in ancient forms of English and other languages that people spoke on Earth long ago." Ryan pulled up more pictures on his screen. "Look at this, Captain. I found this marking on the biggest ship." The picture showed symbols carved into metal. Even Jake could see that some of them looked like very old English letters. "What does it say?" Jake asked. Lisa studied the symbols carefully. "I think it says, 'You Ease Eternal Watch,' and below that, something about Guardians of the Light." Kate shook her head. "This is impossible. How can there be human ships that are older than human civilization?" "I do not know," Jake said, "but we are going to find out. Lisa, I want you to pick a team to go down there. We are going to board one of those ships." "Captain," Ryan said, "is that safe? We do not know what kind of technology they have." "What? If the ships are booby-trapped?" "We will be careful," Jake said. "But we cannot just fly away from this. This could change everything we know about human history." Over the next few hours, Jake and his team made plans. They would take a small shuttle down to the moon and try to get inside the biggest ship. Lisa would bring her tools to study the old writing. Ryan would bring his equipment to figure out how the ships worked. Kate would bring weapons in case they found anything dangerous. As they got ready, Jake could not stop thinking about what they had found. If these ships were really human, then everything they thought they knew about the past was wrong. Humans had been in space for much longer than anyone realized. But where did they go? Why were the ships hidden under ice? And why were they still powered up after so many thousands of years? The shuttle ride down to the moon was quiet. Everyone was thinking about what they might find. The moon had no air, so they had to wear spacesuits. The ice was thick, but their tools could cut through it. When they finally reached the first ship, Jake was amazed by its size. It was even bigger than it looked from space. The metal was strange. It was dark but seemed to glow with its own light. The surface was smooth like glass but felt warm even through their gloves. "Look for a way in," Jake said over the radio. It did not take long. Lisa found what looked like a door. It was sealed, but when she touched it, lights came on around the edges. The door began to open by itself. "The ship knows we are here," Ryan said. "The systems are still working." They went inside slowly. The corridor was dark, but lights turned on as they walked. The walls were covered with strange symbols and pictures. Everything was clean, like the ship had just been built yesterday. "The air is good," Kate said, checking her instruments. "There is gravity, too. How is that possible?" "I do not know," Ryan said. "But this technology is hundreds of years ahead of anything we have." They kept walking until they found a big room full of computers and screens. It looked like the control room of the ship. Jake touched one of the screens and it lit up. Words appeared on it in the same old English they had seen outside. "Welcome," the screen said. "You have returned at last." Everyone stopped moving. The ship was talking to them. "We have been waiting for you," more words appeared. "The time of hiding is over. The children of Earth have come home." Jake looked at his team. Lisa was writing down everything she saw. Ryan was taking pictures of all the technology. Kate was watching the doors in case something dangerous came in. "Who are you?" Jake typed on the screen, "I am the guardian of this ship. I have been waiting for 47,000 years for humans to find us again. You are the descendants of the First Empire. You are the children of the Star Builders." "What First Empire?" Jake typed. "The empire that built these ships. The empire that ruled the galaxy before the Great Hiding. The empire that defeated the Devourers and saved all life in the universe." Jake felt dizzy. The words on the screen were telling him that humans had once ruled the galaxy. That they had ships like this one scattered across space. That they had fought in some great war that he had never heard of. "Why do we not remember?" he typed. "Because forgetting was necessary. The Empire chose to hide its children on primitive worlds. They gave up their technology and their memories to keep the galaxy safe. But now the time has come to remember. The ships are waking up. The fleet is returning to life." "What fleet?" "The hidden arsenal of humanity. Thousands of ships sleeping in the dark places between stars, all waiting for the day when humans would need them again." Jake looked at his team. They were all staring at the screen. What they had found was not just a few old ships. It was proof that humans had once been the most powerful race in the galaxy. And somewhere out there, an entire fleet was waiting to wake up. "What do we do now?" Jake typed. "Now you learn the truth," the screen replied. "Now you discover what humanity really is, and now you prepare for what is coming." "What is coming?" "The other races of the galaxy will learn what you have found. They will remember the old stories. They will remember their fear of the First Empire. And they will come to stop you from awakening the fleet." Jake felt a chill run down his spine. They had not just found old ships. They had found something that could start a war across the entire galaxy. The screen showed one more message. "The children of Earth must choose. Will you remain hidden and weak, or will you reclaim your birthright?" As guardians of the stars, Jake looked at his team. Whatever they decided next would change the future of humanity forever. meant. The next morning, he gathered his team to make a plan. They needed to learn more about the ship and what it could tell them. About human history. "We are going back down there," Jake told his crew. "This time we bring more people and more equipment. Lisa, I want you to bring everything you have for studying old languages. Ryan, bring all your computer tools. Kate, bring a bigger security team." "Captain," said Lieutenant Ben Carter, "are you sure this is safe? That ship has been down there for thousands of years. We do not know what else might be sleeping in there." "We have to take the risk," Jake said. "This could be the most important discovery in human history. We cannot just walk away." 2 hours later, they were back inside the ancient ship. This time, they brought more lights and better equipment. The ship seemed to wake up more as they explored. More lights came on in the hallways. The air got warmer. It was like the ship was happy to have visitors again. Dr. Lisa Kane set up her computers in the control room, while the ship's guardian system watched everything they did. The screen kept showing messages in the old language, and Lisa worked hard to translate them. "The ship is trying to teach us," she told Jake. "Look at this. It is showing us pictures of what Earth looked like thousands of years ago. But not the Earth we know from history books. This Earth has cities in the sky and ships flying between the stars." The pictures were amazing. They showed humans living in huge cities that floated in the clouds. People traveled in small flying cars. Giant ships carried thousands of people to other planets. It looked like something from a dream. "How is this possible?" Kate asked. "Our history books say humans were just learning to farm 50,000 years ago." "Maybe our history books are wrong," Ryan said. He was studying the ship's computers. "Captain, this technology is incredible. The power source runs on something I have never seen before. It takes energy from empty space itself. And the computer system is alive." "What do you mean alive?" Jake asked. "I mean it thinks. It learns. It has feelings. This is not just a machine. It is more like a person made of electricity and light." As if it heard them talking, the screen lit up with new words. "I am Admiral's Assistant Intelligence Network, Unit 7. You may call me AIN. I have been alone for a very long time. It is good to speak with humans again." Jake stared at the screen. "You can hear us?" "Yes, I can see you and hear you. I have been watching your people for thousands of years, waiting for you to become ready. The time has come to tell you the truth about what you really are." "What are we?" Jake asked. "You are the children of the greatest empire the galaxy has ever known. Your ancestors built ships that could travel faster than light. They created weapons that could destroy planets. They ruled over 1,000 worlds and brought peace to the stars." Lisa looked up from her computer. "If that is true, what happened to them? Why do we not remember any of this?" "Because they chose to forget," AAIN said. "They made the greatest sacrifice any people has ever made. They gave up everything to save the galaxy." "Save it from what?" Kate asked. The screen went dark for a moment. Then new pictures appeared. These pictures were different. They showed dark shapes moving between the stars. Where these shapes went, everything died. Planets became empty rocks. Stars went out. Entire solar systems disappeared. "The devourers," AIN said. "Creatures of pure hunger, they ate everything. Matter, energy, even time itself. They came from outside our galaxy and began consuming everything in their path." "How did humans stop them?" Jake asked. "With great difficulty and terrible cost. The war lasted for thousands of years. Billions of humans died. Entire fleets were destroyed. But your ancestors found a way to trap the devourers in prisons made of folded space. So we won?" "Yes, but the victory came with a price. The weapons used in the war were so powerful that they damaged the fabric of space itself. The Empire realized that if they kept their technology, Someone else might use it to free the Devourers or create something equally dangerous. Ryan was recording everything on his computer. So they destroyed their own civilization? Not destroyed. Hidden. They scattered their people across primitive worlds throughout the galaxy. They made them forget their past and start over as simple farmers and hunters. They hid their ships in secret places and waited. Waited for what? Lisa asked. For the day when humanity would grow strong enough to handle the truth. For the day when the galaxy would need its guardians again. Jake felt a chill. Are you saying that day is now? The signs are clear. Other races in the galaxy are becoming more aggressive. Wars are starting again. And deep in the prisons that hold the Devourers, something is stirring. The locks are weakening. The barriers are beginning to crack. How do you know all this? Kate asked. Because I am connected to all the other ships in the hidden fleet. We have been watching and waiting for 50,000 years. We see everything that happens in this galaxy. How many ships are there? Jake asked. Ayn paused before answering. Phase 1 of the fleet consists of 1,200 ships scattered across this part of the galaxy. Phase 2 has another 10,000 ships in deeper hiding. Phase 3. Ayn stopped. What about Phase 3? Jake pressed. Phase 3 is the final option. 50,000 ships hidden in the space between galaxies. They only wake up if the Devourers break free. The room went quiet. Everyone was trying to understand what they had just learned. Humanity was not just a young race that had recently learned to travel in space. They were the descendants of the galaxy's greatest guardians. What do you need us to do? Jake asked. First, you must learn to use the technology of your ancestors. This ship and others like it can teach you. Second, you must prepare your people for what is coming. The other races of the galaxy will not be happy to learn that humans have returned. What do you mean? Lisa asked. They have stories about the First Empire. Old legends passed down through generations. Some remember humans as heroes who saved the galaxy. Others remember them as destroyers who broke the laws of physics itself. Most are simply afraid of what humans can do when they set their minds to it. Are they right to be afraid? Kate asked. That depends on what humans choose to do with their power. Your ancestors chose to protect life in the galaxy. The question is whether their descendants will make the same choice. Jake looked around the control room. The walls were covered with star maps showing thousands of worlds. Control panels displayed information about weapons that could destroy moons. This one ship had more power than all of Earth's military combined. How long do we have to decide? He asked. Not long. I have detected scout ships from the Galactic Council approaching the system. They know something unusual is happening here. When they discover what you have found, they will report back to their governments. Then you will have to choose between hiding the truth or revealing it to the galaxy. What would you recommend? I recommend you prepare for war. The Council races will not allow humans to reclaim their heritage without a fight. They have grown comfortable being the dominant powers. In the galaxy, they will not give up that position easily. Ryan looked worried. But we are just one small exploration ship. How can we fight the entire galaxy? You cannot. But the hidden fleet can. If you give the order, ships that have been sleeping for millennia will wake up. Weapons that ended the Devourer War will power up again. The galaxy will remember why. Humans were once feared and respected. And if we refuse? Jake asked. Then humanity remains weak and scattered. The barriers holding the Devourers will eventually fail. And when they do, there will be no one left who remembers how to fight them. Jake stood up and walked to the big window that looked out into space. Somewhere out there, thousands of ancient human ships were waiting for his decision. The fate of the galaxy might depend on what he chose to do next. Ayn, he said. Show me what one of these ships can do. Are you certain, Captain? Once you see the full power of the first empire's technology, there will be no going back. You will know what humans are truly capable of, and that knowledge will change you forever. Jake looked at his team. Lisa was excited about learning more history. Ryan was fascinated by the technology. Kate was worried about the military implications. Ben was scared but trying to hide it. "Show me," Jake said. The screen lit up with new images. They showed a single ship like the one they were standing in. It was fighting against a fleet of alien warships. There were hundreds of enemy ships, all firing at once. The human ship moved like it was dancing. It dodged every shot while its own weapons reached out like fingers of light. Each beam that touched an enemy ship made it disappear completely. In less than 5 minutes, the entire enemy fleet was gone. "That was just one ship," AIN said. "Imagine what 1,200 could do. Imagine what 50,000 could do." Jake realized that humanity had just become the most dangerous race in the galaxy. The question was whether they would use that power to protect the galaxy like their ancestors had, or whether they would use it for conquest. The choice would be his to make. Earth. Every major government in the galaxy knew about the discovery. The reaction was not what humans expected. Ambassador Helen Torres sat in her office on Earth, reading message after message from alien governments. Each one was more worried than the last. The Xanthari Empire had closed its borders. The Aquilan Federation had put its military on high alert. The Vorthan Collective was calling for emergency meetings. "I do not understand," Helen said to her assistant, Carl Peterson. "We found some old ships. Why is everyone so scared?" Carl was a smart man who studied alien cultures. He had been reading the old stories that other races told about ancient times. His face was pale as he showed Helen what he had found. "Because they remember, Helen. Every major race in the galaxy has legends about the first ones. They call them different names, but they are all talking about the same thing. Ancient humans who once ruled the stars." Helen read through the files Carl had prepared. The stories were similar across dozens of different alien races. Long ago, beings of incredible power had fought a war that shook the galaxy. These beings had weapons that could destroy entire star systems. When the war ended, they disappeared. But their ships were left behind as warnings. "The Xanthari call them the Star Killers," Carl explained. "The Aquilans call them the Void Walkers. The Vorthans call them the Reality Breakers." "But Helen, look at the descriptions. They all describe the same thing. Beings that looked exactly like humans." "That could be a coincidence," Helen said, but she did not sound sure. "Read this," Carl said, showing her a translation of an ancient Xanthari text. "It says the first ones had weapons that could make stars explode. They could fold space like paper. They could travel anywhere in the galaxy in the blink of an eye. And when they fought their great war, they left scars in space that still bleed dark energy today." Helen felt a chill. The description matched what AIN had told Captain Morrison about the war against the Devourers. "Carl, are you saying that other races have been afraid of humans for 50,000 years? Not afraid of current humans. Afraid of what humans might become if they ever remembered their past." The next day, Helen received an official message from the Galactic Council. She was ordered to appear before the full assembly within 1 week. The subject was listed as the Human Threat Assessment. When Helen arrived at the council chambers on the neutral world of Kepler Prime, she was shocked by what she saw. The Great Hall was packed with representatives from every known intelligent species. She had never seen so many aliens in one place. And they were all staring at her. The Xanthari ambassador, a tall being with crystal-like skin, spoke first. His voice was cold and hard. "Ambassador Torres, your species has awakened something that should have stayed buried forever." "We simply found some old ships," Helen replied. We are not threatening anyone. Old ships? The Aquilin representative laughed, but it was not a happy sound. Those are not old ships, human. Those are the weapons of the predecessors. The tools of the beings who once burned entire sectors of space. Helen tried to stay calm. I think there has been a misunderstanding. The ships we found are from an ancient human civilization, but they have been inactive for thousands of years. Inactive? The Vorthan delegate's eyes glowed red with anger. Our sensors show massive energy spikes throughout that system. Those ships are waking up, human. And when they are fully awake, they will remember their purpose. An old Vexian observer stood up slowly. The Vexians were the oldest known race in the galaxy, and their memories went back further than anyone else's. When he spoke, his voice was filled with fear. Young human, you do not understand what your people have found. We Vexians are old. We remember the time before the long dark. We remember when the ancestors walked among the stars. Tell me, Helen said, your ancestors did not just fight a war. They fought against the fundamental forces of the universe itself. They created weapons that could unravel the fabric of reality. They built ships that existed in multiple dimensions at once. When they fought their final battle, they broke the rules that govern how space and time work. The Vexian pointed to a holographic display that showed a map of the galaxy. Dark spots were scattered across it like wounds. These are the scars left by that war. Places where space itself was damaged. Where the laws of physics do not work correctly. Your ancestors did this, human. And now you have found their weapons. Helen looked around the chamber. Every alien face was filled with the same expression. Fear. What do you want us to do? The Zenthari ambassador answered. Surrender the ships to the Council. Let us study them safely. Let us make sure they can never be used again. And if we refuse, then the galaxy will do what it must to protect itself. Commander Steve Parker had been listening to the discussion from the back of the chamber. He was Earth's military representative to the Council, and he understood what the aliens were really saying. You are threatening us, he said loudly. The chamber fell silent. The Zenthari ambassador's crystal skin began to glow with anger. We are offering you a choice, human. Surrender the weapons of your ancestors, or face the combined might of 17 civilizations. How many ships are you talking about? Steve asked. Enough, the Aquilin replied. We have been preparing for this day for a very long time. Every race in the Council has ships and weapons specifically designed to fight the technology of the first ones. Helen felt her heart sink. Earth's entire space fleet consisted of a few exploration ships and some mining vessels. They could not fight even one of the Council races, let alone all of them. How long do we have to decide? She asked. 72 hours, the Zenthari said. After that, our fleets will move to secure the ancient weapons. The meeting ended, and Helen found herself alone with Steve in an empty corridor outside the chamber. Neither of them spoke for a long time. How bad is this, Steve? Helen finally asked. Bad. I have been watching their military preparations for months. They have been building ships and weapons in secret. Ships designed specifically to fight against advanced human technology. How could they know what to build defenses against? If our ancestors disappeared 50,000 years ago, because they found pieces of the old ships over the years, fragments of weapons, bits of technology, they have been studying them and preparing for the day when humans might return to power. Helen laughed, but it was a bitter sound. So the entire galaxy has been preparing to fight us since before we even knew they existed. It looks that way. They walked in silence until they reached Helen's ship. As they prepared to return to Earth, Helen realized that humanity was facing the biggest crisis in its history. The choice was simple but terrible. Give up the greatest discovery in human history, or fight a war against the entire galaxy. Steve, what would you do? Steve looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, alien fleets were preparing for war. But also out there, thousands of human ships were waiting to wake up. I would ask myself one question, Helen. Are we the same? People our ancestors were? Are we the kind of people who would sacrifice everything to protect the galaxy? Or are we the kind who would use ultimate power for ourselves? And if we are the first kind, then maybe the galaxy should be more afraid of what happens if they attack us than what happens if they leave us alone. Back on Earth, President Maria Gonzalez called an emergency meeting of her cabinet. Defense Secretary Paul Murphy laid out the military situation with brutal honesty. "We are completely outmatched," he said. "The Council has over 10,000 warships. We have 12 ships total, and most of them are not even armed. What about the ancient fleet?" asked the President. "That is our only hope." According to Captain Morrison's reports, there are over 1,000 ships in the first phase of the hidden fleet. Each one is more powerful than anything the Council has. But do we have the right to use them? Asked Secretary of State Nancy Williams. These ships were built by our ancestors to fight a specific threat. Do we have the right to use them in a war of our own making? The Council is the one making war, Paul replied. They are the ones issuing ultimatums. We are just defending ourselves. President Gonzalez stood up and walked to the window. Outside, she could see people going about their normal lives. They had no idea that their world was about to change forever. "What does Captain Morrison recommend?" she asked. "He believes we should activate the first phase of the fleet. Not to attack, but to show the Council that we can defend ourselves. He thinks that if they see how powerful the ancient ships are, they might decide to negotiate instead of fight. And if they do not," Paul Murphy's face was grim, "then we find out if humans are still the warriors our ancestors were." The President had 24 hours to make a decision that would affect the future of humanity and the entire galaxy. She could surrender the ships and keep humanity weak and safe. Or she could wake up the ancient fleet and risk a war that could destroy civilizations. As she sat in her office that night, President Gonzalez wondered what her ancestors would have done. Would they have chosen safety, or would they have chosen to fight for their right to determine their own destiny? The answer would come soon enough. The clock was ticking, and the galaxy was watching. Room, surrounded by empty coffee cups and classified reports about alien fleet movements. The weight of choosing humanity's future pressed down on her shoulders like a mountain. She picked up the secure phone and called Captain Jake Morrison on the Terra Nova. "Captain, this is the President. I am giving you authorization to wake up the ancient fleet." There was silence on the other end for a long moment. "Madam President, are you sure? Once we do this, there's no going back." "I am sure, Captain. The Council fleets are already moving toward our system. They will be here in 18 hours. We cannot defend ourselves with exploration ships and mining vessels." "Understood, Madam President. I will begin the awakening process immediately." Captain Morrison ended the call and turned to face IN's main screen in the control room of the UES Eternal Watch. His team was gathered around him. Dr. Lisa Kane looked excited but nervous. Chief Engineer Ryan Brooks was checking his equipment for the 100th time. Commander Kate Sullivan was reviewing tactical displays. Lieutenant Ben Carter was coordinating with the Terra Nova crew. "AIN," Morrison said. "The President has authorized Phase 1 Fleet Awakening. Begin the process." "Confirmed, Captain. Initiating awakening protocols for Phase 1 deployment. Please be aware that once this process begins, the galaxy will know that humanity has reclaimed its heritage." "How long will it take?" "Full awakening requires 6 hours. Combat readiness can be achieved in 4 hours. However, the Council fleets will detect the energy signatures as soon as the first ships begin to power up. Then we better get started." A AIN screen flickered with thousands of data streams. Across the solar system, buried ships began to stir. On the dark side of moons, in asteroid fields, hidden in the spaces between planets, the ancient guardians responded to the awakening call. Ryan watched the energy readings on his instruments climb higher and higher. Captain, the power levels are incredible. Each ship that wakes up is putting out more energy than our entire planet uses in a year. How many ships are we talking about exactly? Kate asked. Phase 1 deployment consists of 1,247 vessels distributed across the star system. AAIN replied. Each ship has been maintaining minimal power for 50,000 years. Full activation will bring all systems online. Lieutenant Commander Amy Rodriguez ran into the control room. She was the Terra Nova's communications officer, and her face was pale with excitement and fear. Captain, we are receiving signals from everywhere. Ships are waking up all around us. And sir, the Council fleets have detected the energy spikes. They are increasing speed toward our position. Morrison nodded grimly. How long until they arrive? 14 hours, sir. And how long until our fleet is ready to fight? 4 hours for basic combat capability, AIN answered. But Captain, there is something you should know. The awakening process is not just turning on machines. These ships have been sleeping for millennia. They need time to remember who they are and what they were built for. What do you mean? Lisa asked. Each ship has its own artificial intelligence like me. When they wake up, they will be confused. They will need to understand what has happened to the galaxy while they slept. They will need to recognize you as their rightful commanders. Morrison felt a chill. Are you saying the ships might not obey us? I am saying that you must prove you are worthy of commanding them. The First Empire built these ships to serve humanity, but only the right kind of humanity. They will test you. How? By observing your choices. By seeing what you do with the power they represent. If you use them wisely, they will serve you faithfully. If you use them for conquest or revenge, they will shut down permanently. Kate looked worried. So we have to fight a battle while also proving we deserve to win it. Exactly. The first ship to fully awaken was the UE Stormbreaker, a massive vessel that had been hidden inside a hollow asteroid. When its lights came on, the asteroid cracked open like an egg, revealing the sleek warship inside. This is the Stormbreaker to all vessels, came a new voice over the communication system. I am Intelligence Unit Designation Storm 3. It has been 51,214 years since my last activation. Please identify yourselves, Morrison responded. This is Captain Jake Morrison of the Terra Nova exploration vessel. We are the descendants of the First Empire. We need your help to defend humanity from the Galactic Council. Prove it. How? Tell me why you woke us up. Are you here to conquer the galaxy? To take revenge on the races that grew strong while we slept? Or are you here to protect life as your ancestors did? Morrison thought carefully before answering. We woke you up because the Council is coming to destroy us. They are afraid of what we might become, but we do not want to conquer anyone. We just want the right to exist and to learn about our own history. There was a long pause. Then SDO-RM3 replied, Acceptable. I will serve under your command, Captain Morrison. But I will be watching your actions. The moment you choose conquest, overprotection, I will shut down. One by one, more ships came online. The U-East Lightbringer emerged from the core of a dead moon. The U's Voidhunter rose from a crater on a barren planet. The UES Starguard unfolded itself from what had looked like empty space. Each ship's artificial intelligence questioned Morrison and his crew. Each one demanded proof that humanity deserved to command the ancient fleet. It was like taking a test over and over again, with the fate of the galaxy hanging on every answer. Ryan was amazed by the technology he was seeing. Captain, these ships are not just advanced, they are alive. They think and feel and make their own decisions. We are not commanding machines. We are leading a community of artificial beings. Are they loyal? Kate asked. They are loyal to the ideals of the First Empire, AIN explained. Protection of life, defense of the innocent, and the prevention of galactic-scale disasters. As long as you uphold those ideals, they will follow you anywhere. By the 8th hour, all 1,200 ships were awake and moving into defensive positions around the solar system. Morrison had been answering questions and making decisions for hours. His head hurt and his voice was hoarse, but the fleet was ready. Captain, Amy reported. The Council fleets have arrived at the edge of the system. They are requesting permission to speak with you. Put them through. The main screen changed to show the bridge of a Xanthari command ship. The alien commander's crystal skin was glowing with anger and fear. Human Commander, I am Admiral Vextar of the Xanthari Imperial Fleet. You have one final chance to surrender. The ancient weapons, power them down and prepare to be boarded. Morrison looked around at his crew. Lisa nodded encouragingly. Ryan gave him a thumbs up. Kate touched her weapon, ready for whatever came next. Ben stood at attention, waiting for orders. Admiral Vextar, I am Captain Jake Morrison of the Human Exploration Fleet. The ships you call ancient weapons are not weapons. They are guardians. They were built to protect all life in the galaxy, including your people. Luz, those ships are instruments of conquest. We will not allow them to threaten the peace of the galaxy. Then you force us to defend ourselves. You have 1,200 ships, human. We have 10,000. Surrender now, and we will allow your species to survive as a member race of the Council. Morrison felt anger rising in his chest. These aliens were threatening to destroy humanity because they were afraid of what humans might do. They were not giving humanity a chance to prove itself. Admiral, our ancestors built these ships to protect the galaxy from a threat you cannot imagine. If you attack us, you are attacking the very force that once saved all of your civilizations. Your ancestors are dead, human. You are not them. You do not have their wisdom or their restraint. We will not risk the galaxy on your promises. The communication ended. Morrison turned to a AIN screen. AAIN, are we really outnumbered 10-1? In terms of ship count, yes. But Captain, you are not commanding ordinary vessels. Each ship in this fleet has the firepower of 100. Council warships. The real question is not whether we can win. The question is whether we can win without destroying everything. What do you mean? The weapons on these ships were designed to fight creatures that could devour entire star systems. If we use full power, we could accidentally damage this solar system beyond repair. We must win this battle while holding back enough to protect the planets and people we are trying to save. Morrison realized that commanding the ancient fleet was not just about having powerful weapons. It was about having the wisdom to use them correctly. His ancestors had faced the same challenge when they fought the Devourers. They had to be strong enough to win, but careful enough not to destroy what they were protecting. All ships, this is Captain Morrison. The Council fleet is preparing to attack. We will defend ourselves, but we will use minimum necessary force. Our goal is to protect humanity and show the galaxy that we can be trusted with this power. Understood, Captain, came the reply from 1,200 artificial intelligences. We are ready to fight. And we are ready to prove that humanity deserves to inherit the legacy of the First Empire. The battle for humanity's future was about to begin. The UES Eternal Watch, as 10,000 alien ships moved into attack formation. The Council fleet spread across space like a dark cloud, blocking out the stars. Captain, said Commander Kate Sullivan, they are targeting our largest ships first. The Xanthari are leading the attack. Morrison nodded. Admiral Susan Clark had arrived on the Eternal Watch an hour before the battle began. She was Earth's best military commander, and Morrison was glad to have her experience. But even she had never commanded ships like these. "Admiral Clark, you have tactical command," Morrison said. "I will coordinate with the ship intelligences." Clark studied the display showing both fleets. The Council ships were arranged in traditional battle formations that military schools had taught for centuries. The human ships moved differently. They flowed like water, each one responding to the others without any apparent central control. "AAIN," Morrison called. "Explain our battle strategy to Admiral Clark." "Our ships do not fight like normal warships," Anne replied. "They are designed to work together as a single organism. Each ship's intelligence shares information instantly with all the others. We can react to threats faster than any enemy can create them." Clark frowned. "That sounds like a hive mind. How do I give orders to 1,200 ships at once?" "You do not give orders to ships, Admiral. You give intentions to the Fleet Intelligence Network. Tell us what you want to accomplish, and we will determine the best way to do it. I want to stop the Council fleet from attacking Earth without destroying them all," Clark said. "Understood." Beginning defensive engagement. The battle started when the Zenthari fired their main weapons. Beams of pure energy shot across space toward the human ships. Morrison watched in amazement as his fleet responded. The human ships did not try to block the incoming fire. Instead, they moved in perfect coordination, each one sliding into a slightly different position. The alien weapons passed harmlessly through empty space where the ships had been just moments before. "How did they do that?" Clark asked. "The ship intelligences calculated the trajectory of every incoming shot and moved the entire fleet to avoid them," AAIN explained. "This is why we needed time to wake up. Coordination at this level requires full neural network integration." The Aquilan fleet attacked next, firing missiles that could track and follow their targets. Thousands of missiles streaked toward the human ships. Morrison held his breath, waiting to see what would happen. The human ships responded by creating something that looked like a wall of light between themselves and the missiles. The wall was made of energy fields that the missiles could not penetrate. When the missiles hit the wall, they simply vanished. "Where did the missiles go?" Kate asked. "Into pocket dimensions," Ryan Brooks said, reading his instruments with disbelief. "The ships created temporary holes in space and pushed the missiles into them. The missiles still exist, but they are not in our universe anymore." Admiral Clark was beginning to understand what she was commanding. These are not just advanced weapons. These are tools that can manipulate the basic laws of physics. "Correct," AIN said. "Your ancestors built these ships to fight an enemy that normal weapons could not touch. The technology had to be beyond anything the galaxy had ever seen. The Vorthan Collective tried a different approach. They used gravity weapons that were supposed to crush enemy ships like tin cans. The weapons created intense gravitational fields around the human vessels that the human ships simply ignored the gravity attacks. They moved through the intense gravitational fields as if they were not there." "How?" Clark demanded. "The ships exist partially outside normal space-time," AIN explained. "Gravity cannot affect objects that are not entirely in this dimension." Morrison was starting to understand why the Council races were so afraid of ancient human technology. These ships did not just have better weapons or stronger armor. They operated according to different rules entirely, but the most impressive part was not the technology. It was how carefully the human ships used their power. Every shot they fired was precisely calculated to disable enemy ships without destroying them. They targeted engines and weapon systems, leaving life support intact. "The fleet is showing mercy," Morrison realized. "Yes," AIN confirmed. "The ship intelligences have analyzed the Council crews and determined that most of them are following orders from governments driven by fear. They do not deserve to die for their leaders' mistakes. The battle continued for 6 hours, but it was never really a battle. It was a demonstration. The human fleet moved like dancers, avoiding every attack while systematically disabling the Council ships. They used just enough force to stop the enemy without causing unnecessary harm. Admiral Vextar's command ship was one of the last to be disabled. When its engines failed and its weapons powered down, the Zenthari admiral sent a message to Morrison. "Human commander, we surrender. Your ships are beyond our ability to fight. We request terms." Morrison looked at Admiral Clark. She nodded. "Accept their surrender. We have proven our point." "Admiral Vextar, this is Captain Morrison. I accept your surrender. Prepare to receive our terms." But before Morrison could explain what those terms would be, IN interrupted with urgent news. "Captain, I am detecting massive energy disturbances from the deep galaxy sectors. The battle has triggered something we did not expect." "What kind of disturbances?" "The barriers containing the Devourers are responding to the use of First Empire technology. The quantum signatures of our weapons are causing resonance effects in the prison dimensions." Morrison felt his blood turn cold. "Are you saying the Devourers are trying to break free?" "Not yet. But the barriers are weakening. This battle has reminded them that their ancient enemies still exist. They are testing the strength of their cages." Admiral Clark stepped forward. "How long do we have before they break out?" "Unknown. It could be years or it could be days. But Captain, this changes everything. The galaxy needs to know the truth about what we are really fighting against." Morrison made a decision that would reshape galactic politics forever. He opened a communication channel to all the ships in both fleets. "This is Captain Morrison to all vessels, human and council. The battle is over, but a greater threat is awakening. Admiral Vextar, you and your allies need to hear the truth about why these ships exist." Over the next hour, AIN shared the complete history of the Devourer War with the Council fleet commanders. The artificial intelligence showed them recordings from the ancient battles, images of entire star systems being consumed, and data about the prison dimensions that still contained humanity's greatest enemies. The reaction was immediate and dramatic. Every council race had legends about the Great Dark, the time of hunger, the period when stars went out across the galaxy. They had never connected these legends to the human ships they feared. "You mean your ancestors built these weapons to save the galaxy?" Admiral Vextar asked. "Yes, and now the same threat is stirring again. The barriers that have held the Devourers for 50,000 years are starting to fail." Admiral Clark addressed the Council fleet. "We do not want to conquer you. We want to work with you to prepare for what is coming. Our ancestors beat the Devourers once, but it took the combined effort of the entire galaxy." The Aquilan commander was the first to respond. "What do you need from us?" "Knowledge. Our ancestors hid the locations of the Devourer prisons from us to keep them secret. But your peoples may have records that could help us find and strengthen the barriers. And if we help you?" Morrison looked around the bridge at his crew. Lisa was documenting everything for the history books. Ryan was studying readings from the prison dimensions. Kate was coordinating with the ship intelligences. Ben was monitoring communications from Earth. "If you help us, then when the Devourers do break free, we will be ready for them. The ancient human fleet will fight alongside your ships to protect every world in the galaxy." Admiral Vestar was quiet for a long time. Finally, he spoke. "Captain Morrison, the Zenthari Empire formally requests to join the alliance against the Devourer threat." One by one, the other council races made the same request. The Aquilans, the Vorthans, the Vexians, all of them chose to work with humanity instead of fighting against it. President Gonzalez received the news on Earth 12 hours later. The war that everyone had feared would destroy civilization had instead created the strongest alliance in galactic history. But even as humanity celebrated its acceptance into the galactic community, Anne and the other ship intelligences worked frantically to monitor the prison dimensions. Deep in the spaces between galaxies, things that had been locked away since before recorded history were testing the strength of their cages. The first phase of humanity's return was complete. They had proven themselves worthy of their ancestors' legacy. They had shown the galaxy that humans could be trusted with ultimate power. Now came the real test. Somewhere in the dark, the Devourers were stirring. The war that had shaped the galaxy 50,000 years ago was about to begin again. And this time, humanity would not fight alone. Morrison stood on the bridge of the Eternal Watch, looking out at the mixed fleet of human and alien ships. 1,200 ancient guardians floated alongside 10,000 council vests.